Blog Talk Radio.
Like they're not shining. Her hair falls perfectly without her trying. She's so beautiful, and I tell her every day. Yeah, I know. When I compliment her, she won't believe me, and it's so sad to think that she don't see what I see. But every time she asks me, do I look okay? I say, when I see your face, there's not a thing that I would change, 'cause you're amazing, just the way you are. And when you smile, the whole world stops and stares for a while, 'cause girl, you're amazing. Her lips, I could kiss them all day if she'd let me. Her laugh, she hates but I think it's so sexy. She's so beautiful, and I tell her every day. Oh, you know, I never ask you to change. If perfect's what you're searching for, then just stay the same. So don't even bother asking if you look okay. You know I'll say, when I see your face, there's not a thing that I would change, 'cause you're amazing, just the way you are. And when you smile, the whole world stops and stares for a while, 'cause girl, you're amazing, just the way you are, the way you are, girl, you're amazing, just the way you are. When I see your face, there's not a thing that I would change, 'cause you're amazing, just the way you are. And when you smile, the whole world stops and stares for a while, 'cause girl, you're amazing, just the way you are. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That was Just the Way You Are by Bruno Mars. This is Off the Chain. I am your host, Yvonne Mason, and yes, if it is Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, it is time for Off the Chain. I played that song tonight for two very, very special people in my life. One is my little granddaughter, who is no longer with us, who was 13 when she died, and that became her theme song. And the other special person in my life who I've never met, but I love her so, so dearly, is my guest daughter, who has autism. And I hate labels, so I say that she has a uniqueness, because she is one of the most amazing children that I have ever had the opportunity to know from a distance, and one day I hope to get to meet her. So before we talk about this amazing child and my amazing guest, I have to do a little bit of housekeeping. I have to tell you guys, I am so thrilled at all of y'all. Brings tears to my eyes. I mean, just absolutely thrilled. This week has been rather trying, and things have had an undercurrent about them. So my solace has been the show. And this morning when I ran the numbers, it gets more and more humbling every day because we are at 62,168 listeners just on this show, with Australia being our top listening base. And Australia, thank you so much for continuing your support, and thank you for the Teskey Brothers because they are absolutely some of the best blues bands I've ever heard in my life. And ladies and gentlemen, we are at 78,587 listeners worldwide with all the podcasts. We're 1,413 listeners away from 80,000 listeners. I am so humbled. You have no idea how humbling this is because it's not my show. It's your show. It's you, the listeners, and it's you, my guest, including my guest, who I absolutely love with all of my heart. She is an amazing wife, mother, friend, and author, Julie Morgan.
Hi, Yvonne.
Hey,
How are
baby.
you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm much better now that we're out of the danger zone of the weather. What you were just talking about.
Yeah, Julie has been on here before. She's originally from Burleson, Texas, and she's always loved books, especially paranormal. And so she just decided one day, I'm going to live my dream, and that's what she's been doing. She worked in IT all of her life, and now she just writes and lives in Central Florida with her trickster husband and her beautiful, beautiful daughter. And the thing that she loves to do more than, or as much as writing, is reading stories to this gorgeous daughter. So now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, the hurricane.
Before we jump into that, I just want to put out there that the first time you interviewed me, I think you were around 35,000 listeners. Woman,
Yep.
You are doing something right, so congratulations to you.
Thank you, baby.
That is huge.
I have people
You're
like
welcome.
you in my life who keep saying, Yvonne, I'm coming back on the show. Book me, book me, book me. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm mean to them. I mean, y'all have heard me. No, I'm not mean to my guests. I love my guests. They're absolutely amazing. We have fun on this show.
We do. Y'all should hear us behind the scenes.
And we're going to talk about. I have notes. I made notes.
Oh my God.
So let's tell the audience a little bit about your
my adventures.
Beautiful child. Yeah, and you knew when that song came on, it was for her, didn't you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I just sat here and just smiled, and when I hear that song, I absolutely think of her. And I think of your granddaughter and your family and your husband and just every beautiful person out there.
Well, your young'un has made so many strides and has
she really has
proven to the world and even herself that there's more to her than just that beautiful face.
Oh, she surprises me every day. Even today, she brought up a topic of something that happened, I think, when she was maybe 3 years old. And I thought, you remember that?
Really?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Hell.
And I just was like, what? She started talking about her Montessori school she used to go to. That was her first schooling experience. And we were real happy with the school she went to. They were a wonderful, wonderful school. And this was before we had her diagnosed. And they did really well bringing her out of her shell. And it wasn't that they got her talking or they got her to express herself or anything like that. That was already there. She was memorizing speech, but not necessarily talking, if you know what I mean. She just would say things like learned responses. And that's how she would talk to people. She would mimic, yes. But she's very independent. So if she wanted something, she would just get up and go get it. Without saying, like, I want a drink of water, she would just go up and get a cup and reach for the refrigerator, and then, we'd go help her and figure out what she wanted. But it wasn't soon after Montessori, she was ready for kindergarten, and we enrolled her in a Christian private school. And there's nothing wrong with Christian private schools if your child does not have a disability. And I hate to call what my daughter has as a disability, But in this case, in this type of situation, it was. And they were the worst people in the world I've ever met. And I was completely devastated with how they treated my daughter. And I ended up canceling the contract with the school and pulling her out and putting her back in Montessori until I could figure out what to do with her. You know, and in the sense of, do I go public school? Do I try to find a special needs school? I'm not really sure where to go from here. And we still had not had her diagnosed as of yet. And so we called the Montessori school, and they just, with open arms, bring her back. We'll keep her here as long as you need us to. And they were wonderful people. They told us within the first week she had regressed so much. She wasn't talking. And at one point, she, rather than telling them she needed to go to the bathroom, she was too scared to ask and pee herself. And it just made me sit back and think, what the hell did this school do to her? And I'm not trying to say bad things about the school or any school in general, but if there might be an issue, face it head on.
Exactly.
Do your child a favor, face it. No parent wants to go through the diagnosis phase of, oh, my God, there's something different about your child. Not wrong, but different. No parent wants to go through that. I didn't want to go through that. When the diagnosis first started coming out, I mean, just taking the steps of walking in the door was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But the moment that they started reading diagnosis back to me, I just completely shut down. And thank God my husband was there and listened. Because when the first thing they told me was epilepsy. Well, hey, no, she doesn't have epilepsy. None of us have epilepsy. Oh, she does. She has epilepsy. And then after a blood testing done, that's where they got the official diagnosis that it was 17th chromosome duplication, or 17q12. And I'd never heard of that. And so, of course, as a mom, I'm going to research this and find out what it is. And I did. And the 17th chromosome duplication can be very mild to very severe. Severe in the sense of deformation of the face and the body, complete mental retardation, to very, very mild, which is where my daughter is. And I'm thankful to God every day that's where she is, because she's able to think for herself now and make decisions for herself now and have shared speech with me now, where before she couldn't do that.
And what our audience might not also know is she loves to sing.
She does.
And
my gosh.
She sang in public, not just at school, but did she not sing on your cruise last year?
She did. She did. Completely surprised me and blew me away that she did this. She told me she's going to sing Scars to You're Beautiful by Alicia Cara. And if y'all have not heard that song, you need to go look up those lyrics. Oh, it's a beautiful song. And so she gets up there, sings right along with Alicia Cara, just bebops to it and singing, and I'm just sitting there crying like a baby. Oh, my God, that's my baby, as I'm sitting there recording it. And one of the gentlemen in the audience goes, that's your daughter? Oh, yeah. And she just had a great time and got up there and just killed it. And when she was done, she went and sat down like, yeah, I got this. Before, a couple of years ago, there's no way we could have done that. She would have had a meltdown and cried and just screamed and hurt herself, just not understanding why the music stopped, why people are clapping, why people are cheering. She didn't understand all that. Now she does.
So she would have had sensory overload as well.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
She's learning how to block herself, as we empaths say, from that sensory overload.
Yes. Yeah. She's a very empathetic child. She really picks up on emotions, and I have to watch myself. If something happens and I get sad and she sees that, she will stop the world to make sure I'm okay.
Well,
and
I don't know if you heard the show the other night when I interviewed Brittany Quagon. But Brittany is also an author. Now, this is right up your alley with your daughter. I mean, just right up there. Brittany has been asked by Yale University to work up a curriculum and do a study with folks who have been labeled schizophrenic, autistic, etc., etc., because they have figured out that folks with these labels, and you know how I feel about labels, I hate them.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I do too.
Folks with these labels are empaths.
I believe it.
And that if they can be taught, which there's no reason they couldn't be taught, how to channel that, then the stigma and the label disappears, because then all you have is this brilliant mind. So I am tickled to death that Brittany...
Yvonne, did I lose you?
No, I did. I hit a button.
Okay.
I am tickled to death that Brittany is doing this, because what it is doing is it is giving us a future with these brilliant, brilliant minds.
Well, that is amazing to hear, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with what she discovers and what she comes out with. I'm really looking forward to it.
I got chill bumps when she was telling me that. And the first person I thought of was your daughter.
Oh, of course. My daughter she picks up on so much that, you know, the best way to try to explain it is like when you're trying to baby-proof your house, you're putting up the bumper guards, you're putting in the cord outlets, you know, you're doing all that stuff. The best way to baby-proof your house, get down on their level. See what they see.
Exactly.
And that's what I tell people about autism, is you don't really understand it until you see the world through their eyes. And whether it's autism or epilepsy or schizophrenia or ADHD or Asperger's or whatever the label is anymore, all that falls under one umbrella now, but whatever the label is, you don't really know until you see the world through their eyes.
And the world is a much more beautiful place through their eyes.
It's kind of like we see color, you know, we see reds and greens and purples and blues and all the colors of the rainbow, but through her eyes, it's more distinct. It's so much brighter. There's so many more hues of these colors, and it's not just blue. It's azure, and it's country blue, and it's sky blue, and it's maybe a violet, you know, all these different shades where we just see blue. And, you know, my niece, who is 2 years younger than my daughter, on the label of normal versus disability, she'd be on the normal range. And when she was 6 years old, this little girl is so smart. I love my niece. She's so smart. She came to me and sat down in my lap, and she said, Aunt Julie, why is Leanna different? I said, what do you mean, honey? Well, she talks different. She acts different. Why is she different? I said, well, where you see things in color, she might see it black and white. And where you see something that's round, she might see it as a square. So she just looks at the world differently than you do. And she said,
not right or wrong.
And then ran off and played.
Yeah,
and that was it.
It's not right or wrong. It just is. And
yeah,
maybe
exactly. It just is.
Maybe we should all learn how to see the world in a different view.
Right. And when my daughter was first diagnosed, one of my very good friends, I don't know if she's listening, but Edna Vesey, this is about you. I called her devastated. I was just sobbing over the phone. And she was crying right along with me and said, you have the unique opportunity that nobody else does. You get to see the world through her eyes. Nobody else is going to get that opportunity. And that has completely stuck with me, those words that she told me. And I've talked to other parents whose children are going through diagnosis periods, and I see where I was in their eyes. And the best I can do is pay it forward to them, to those that helped me through it, is this is not the end of the world. It's just another day. And your child has not changed. It's just the circumstances around them has changed. But your child is still the same child. Nothing's changed. You're just going to see them in a different light now. And
maybe
just,
understand them a little better.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, okay, because I can see the breakdown about to happen. And it's okay to cry.
And maybe understand themselves a little better.
Yeah. And when my daughter first got diagnosed, her doctor, her brain neurologist told us, it's a good idea for you and your husband to go get tested to see if this chromosome abnormality came from one of you or if it's just what we call a freak of nature that happened. And normally it comes from one of the parents. It's not something that just appears. And I said, okay. So he and I went and got tested. And during the time that this was going on, we had just found out we were pregnant with our second child. And we went and got tested. A week later, the results came back. I'm the carrier. I have 17q12, and I had no idea.
Huh.
And a second later, I miscarried. So that baby never came to term. But now we can't have any more children now. But when I found that out, thinking back on some instances of my own childhood, it made so much sense. Just some things that I went through as a child that I did maybe that was different from others around me. I was very socially awkward as a kid. You wouldn't think so knowing me now, but as a kid, oh my God, I was very socially awkward.
I cannot imagine.
I would just say things weird, like people are having a conversation, and I just walk up, Booty, and just say something weird, and try to tell a joke just to try to make people laugh, and it was a stupid made up crap joke. But I was so socially awkward. But I'm not the same person as I was as a child. I don't think any of us are. But as you grow and mature, so does your brain. And I have a really, really good feeling about with my daughter that the autism and epilepsy was something that will always be there. But the older she gets, the more she matures, the more she changes and becomes more like a quote-unquote regular child. And she still, when she gets excited, she still stems. And it's the cutest thing to watch her body just like, oh, my God, I'm so excited. Just watch her arms and legs move about. You should see her when we're trying to decorate the Christmas tree. She has a hard time standing on one leg. She's just all over the place, and we laugh about it. We don't laugh at her. We laugh with her, And she just lights up any room when she walks in it. And she can talk to anybody. And when someone finds out that she's autistic, it's like, no way. Is she really? Because she will talk to anybody. She will walk up, especially police officers. She loves police officers. And she just will walk up to anybody. Hey, how are you? I like your shirt. Where'd you get it? And that's how she usually opens up a conversation with somebody. Hey, how you doing? Where'd you get your shirt?
She's amazing. We should all be like her.
She doesn't know a stranger. She doesn't know black from white, from brown, from yellow, from tan. She doesn't.
She just knows people.
She just knows people. And something that I told, when people ask me if I have a hard time putting her to bed, no, I never have. Because in her mind, she doesn't understand why you would break a rule. She doesn't understand why you would lie. And she doesn't understand why you would go out of your way to make somebody mad. Trust me, I'm fortunate. I have a good kid.
Yes. Well, you're a good mom, and part of that is your ability to say, okay, this is what we have. This is the cards we're dealt. Now we can either sit in the corner and moan and gripe and complain and say, God, why me, and curse God and life and our life and everything else, or you can do like you did and say, okay, we've got this. Now we're going to deal with it the best possible way, and we're not going to, quote, unquote, punish our daughter because she's unique. Hell, we're all unique. And anybody that says, no, I have no flaws, they lie.
Oh, we all have flaws. I mean, there's days that my daughter tries to push my buttons, and all I have to do is give her a look, and she knows. She's like, oops, Mom's mad, and she backs off. I just have to give her a look of, really? And if my husband gives her that look, I swear to you, she wants to laugh. She's like, you are not Mama.
But of course, only moms can get that look.
a lot of times the little girls are, daddy's girl and mama's boy and stuff like that. Not in this case. My daughter, she's a mama's girl. Mommy's girl to the end. And she tells people that I'm her best friend. And that's just like, and she'll just, I'll play pretend with her. She pretends to be the mama and I'm the baby. And she insists on talking the baby voice. And I'm not going to do that, Yvonne, so please don't ask. But
come on, Julie.
She will ask me to talk in a baby voice. I'm like, okay. So, I play pretend with her, and it's good fodder for the brain anyway.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. On a normal day, when we have change in our life, I would venture to say that 99% of us don't like change because it requires rethinking process. It requires moving in a different direction, and it requires adaptation. When y'all sold your house and moved, it was hard enough on you and your husband. Like you said, it was not the most fun thing in the world. How did the baby, and she's not a baby, ladies and gentlemen, but I call all children babies because that's what I do. How did she adjust to a new environment? Was it made to be fun and exciting, or was she dreading
Fun and
it?
Exciting. It was fun and exciting. And when we have something coming up that's different than normal routine, about 2 days beforehand, before whatever we're going to do is going to come, about 2 days beforehand, we start talking to her about it and getting the idea in our head that this is coming. And we learned a hard way to do that, because just bringing something on her is like, it's like complete meltdown mode, because we've changed her routine. And we did that one time, and one time only is all it took. We've never done it again. So we've learned that talking to her a day or two ahead of time to let her know that, hey, we're going to go out and look at houses. Because would you like to get a bigger house? Do you want a house with a pool? And that's all it took was a house with a pool. Oh, my God, I want a pool. So, the house that we ended up buying is the one that I initially wanted. It's actually the first one that we saw. Beautiful house. I fell in love with it. It had everything that we wanted. So even a covered back porch with the pool. So I looked at it first. I had my husband's younger cousin with me, and I call her my niece because she's old enough to be my niece. She just turned 17. Her name's Alexis, and I had her with me when I first saw the house. And she's like, she calls me Aunt Julie. Aunt Julie, oh, my God. I could come over here every day and go swimming. Like, yeah, fight Leanna for the pool. So when I bring John over, or my husband, I bring him to come by and see the house. He's like, baby, this is gorgeous. I'm going to love this house. And we're trying not to get too excited in front of the realtor or the homeowner, like, oh, my God, we're going to buy it. So then the third time we come over to see it, we're really getting ready to set the deal. I brought my daughter in. She saw the pool, beeline to the pool, laid down on the concrete and put her arms in the pool. And
that was the end of that.
Yeah, and she just put her arms in the pool. And I walked out, and I sat down next to her, and I said, what do you think? And she looked up at me, and I swear to you, her voice took on a demonic tone. And she goes, this is mine. This is mine. And we laughed so much. And I, got her up, and she goes, I got chlorine in my arms, Mommy. I went swimming. So I took her inside the house, and I said, this is good. She's good. And we let her pick out her room, which is, of course, the room by the pool. And she was fine. She knew that we were going to pack up, and she knew that we were going to move, and she was all good with it. And it was because we prepared her. And rather than springing on her, oh, by the way, honey, we're moving.
What?
Yeah, so just preparing her ahead of time. And we took her to a bunch of houses with us to go look, but this is the one that we fell in love with, So, but, yeah, she did good with it once we got her settled in the idea that this is what we're going to do.
So now y'all are all moved in, and since y'all have moved in, now, ladies and gentlemen, Julie is insanely funny. I mean, especially when she is going under anesthesia.
Oh, my God. I have so many stories. Oh, my God.
Now, you wouldn't know it in her books because her books are drama.
Deep, dark, heavy.
Yeah, they're deep, dark, and heavy. But Julie is insanely funny. The woman is not, she ain't got sense enough to get in out of the rain. She's that funny. Now, she had a scare, and as women should do, that is, go have mammograms done. I had one and said, that's all I'm doing. I'm not doing it anymore because I'm not one to having my boobs pressed in a cookie press. And no, thank you.
Let's tell
Once was
how
enough
flat
for me.
we can get them.
Exactly. Yeah. There's not that much there to begin with, but then when you stretch them 3 miles out and put them in this cookie press, I said every man should have a mammogram done at least once in his life, just to see. But anyway, Julie did. She went and had all this done, and there was
this
a
is my
knot
first
there.
one, by the way. This was my first mammogram, by the way.
Aha. See, her first mammogram. Well, she found a knot, and she named the knot. Now, you pick up the story because this is so funny.
Okay. So I went and had my first mammogram done, and I got a letter in the mail that says, we found something. We want you to come back in. I showed my husband. He goes, oh, yeah, the machine probably messed up. So I had it in my head. Yeah, the machine messed up. So we can win. We walked past the machine and take me to the ultrasound room, and I went, oh, my God, this is real. And so they're looking, and I see this big old black mass show, and I went, oh, shit. Excuse me. Oh, my God. You know, I'm looking at it, and I said, oh, that's real. And I said, oh, yeah, this is what we found on the mammogram. And then I started crying because I didn't think it was going to be serious. And it turns out not serious. It wasn't cancer or anything like that. But I leave the room, and I call my husband. I'm like, oh, my God, this is real. And I'm phone, and he's like, calm the hell down and drive home. So biopsy later, which, oh, my God, that hurts so much. But biopsy later, it comes back. They said it's not cancer. But my doctor refers me over to Moffitt here in Tampa anyway, just to go get further tested because this is what they do. This is Moffitt. It's what they do. So I go over there, and they were wonderful people. I go over there, do a series of tests, do a series of mammograms and MRIs and everything you can think of to the girls. And stretched, poked, prodded, pressed, laid down on the x-ray machine where they hung through. It was very awkward, but I fell asleep, so I didn't care. So, you know, it was fine. So day the surgery comes. They get the IV hooked up into me, and my husband gets the video recorder out. He goes, I'm going to get this, because she's always saying something funny, you know. And they said, well, you can do it here in the room, but out in the hall we can't let you record because of HIPAA stuff. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So she goes, do you want the cocktail or you just want to go under? I said, oh, no, honey, hit me with the cocktail. This is the best part. So they put the cocktail in, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking around, and I said, oh, my God, yeah, I can feel it. As they're wheeling me away, and I get down the hallway, and I tip my hands on a rock and roll sign, and I said, they're infecting the Bob. Death to the Bob. Rock and roll forever. Screaming down the hallway. Doctors and nurses are turning around and looking at me and laughing. I don't care. I'm never going to see him again. Yeah! And the next thing I know, I'm waking up in my recovery room, you know, and then the doctor said she had a good laugh, and the nurse came in. She was giggling, and I said, what's so funny, you know, trying to come out of anesthesia. And she goes, you're all like rock and roll forever, going down the hallway.
Only you, Julie. Only you, my daughter.
Only me. Only me.
Only Julie would name the mask Bob.
Oh, I did. I said, I'm going to call him Bob, and Bob's going to get evicted.
She's posting it on social media. Today is the day Bob gets evicted.
There's another surgery I had on my wrist to have a ganglion cyst removed, and the nurse has told me this. I don't necessarily remember saying it, but it doesn't surprise me that I did. But they, when I came out of anesthesia and I'm waking up, they told me that the doctor was leaning over me, and he goes, do you remember where you are? Do you remember your name? Just to make sure that I'm okay. And they said, I sat up in the bed and looked at him and said, yes, I do, and you can call me effing fairy princess. But used the F-bomb, effing fairy princess. And I told my husband about it, and he laughed. He goes, what were you dreaming about? And I said, I don't know. And when I was finally waking up, I was F this and F that, F you and F him and blah, 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 blah. And when they put a nerve block in my arm to get me ready for the surgery, I'm sitting there trying to sit up in my bed, and something comes around and hits me in the face. And I looked around and I said, who the hell just hit me? And the nurse next to me is cracking up. He goes, that was your own arm. And I went, oh, plot bunny, I could be like Dr. Feelgood and, like, kill people off while they're awake. Oh, my God. You know? And the nurse, it was a male nurse, and he was laughing, you know, when I realized it was my arm. But then when I said that, he went, that's not funny.
Sure it was.
You're a writer.
We're writers. We understand it.
Oh, my God.
Now,
I love talking about these stories. It's making me laugh.
I told y'all she was funny. I told y'all the woman was funny as all get out. Now, before the show, this thing pops up on my Facebook feed and says, Julie Morgan is live. And I went, what is she doing? She's got to get ready for the show.
God.
Well, she's sitting in her chair laughing her ass off because she got scared by a ghost. Now, tell that story.
I'm sitting in the chair, and I'm writing in my book, minding my own damn business. You know, daughter's playing in her room, my husband's, you know, taking a bath, and I'm minding my own business, and I see something pass by me. I'm like, what? And I look up, and there's this ghost that goes across my ceiling. I went, oh, my God. Oh, shit, that's a lot. My husband set up a Halloween decoration outside that shines ghosts on the wall, and they circular in a pattern. And I just wasn't expecting to see it in my house. And I'm just sitting there laughing at myself. I'm like, I got to show this to everybody else now.
And sure enough, there's ghosts on her ceiling going around in a circle making me drunk.
Well, like 5 minutes after I did the Facebook Live, my daughter walks into the living room and sits down on the couch. She goes, oh, my God, Mommy, there's ghosts. So she did it, too. Oh, my God.
Now the house is haunted.
Oh, by make-believe, light-up ghosts. That's awesome. They can't hurt you. They're not real.
Oh, mercy. Now, since the last time you were on the show, you finished your new book, right?
When was I on your show?
When y'all were getting ready to go on a cruise.
Yes, it was Fatal Intentions. Yes, I remember. When you said that, I had to think about where I was. Yes,
well, your daughter
it was
sang on the ship. Yeah.
Yes. It was Fatal Intentions. It was book 2 that followed after Deadly. Well, I called it Fatal Intentions, but renamed it to Fatal Alchemy. And so it was book 2 that followed Deadly Alchemy.
Okay, for the folks that haven't followed you lately and are new to the show, because we got a whole bunch of new listeners, explain to them about that series. Okay,
so Deadly Alchemy, it's a paranormal romance story, slightly urban fantasy, but paranormal romance about a woman who discovers, she's an alchemist, and she discovers the cure for vampirism. And the lead vampire in the story, Michel, he's French. He injects himself into Amelia's life. She's the alchemist, Amelia. And he starts seducing her and wooing her. And she knows he's a vampire. I mean, he knows that she knows this. She knows that they're in existence. But not everybody in the world knows that they're actually here. And it's her job, basically, to try to protect the human race from vampires. So she finds a cure. And she's like, oh, my God, I did it. I cannot believe I did it. So Michelle starts seducing her and kind of playing a little bit cat and mouse with her. And she doesn't really truly know what his intentions are. She thinks that he's really into her. And the moment that she lets her guard down, kind of letting Michelle in, Amelia gets kidnapped by a guy named John Hawthorne. And John is a werewolf. And when she realizes where she's been taken and what's going on, she's being held captive. It doesn't understand why. She doesn't know who these people are. Well, when they talk to her about this, trying to get information from her, they tell her that, look, this guy is after you for the wrong reasons. He's only after you for your cure. And I'm not giving away anything that the blurb doesn't say here. But he's after you for the wrong reasons. He wants to do something with the cure that is not intended. You cannot let him near this. And she's like, why? You know, I mean, what do you have to do with this? And he tells her, we're only in existence because they're in existence. If they are gone, we have no reason being here. You are going to wipe out a population of men, women, and children by curing vampires. And so that kind of goes to the hook of the story. How do you choose who lives and who dies? You know? And so it's whether to keep the cure or destroy it. I mean, what happens with it? And, I mean, the cure does end up getting used. I can't say how because it gives away a lot of the story. But it's a very back-and-forth story. It's pretty dark. It's got some gruesome scenes in it. And if you don't have a queasy stomach, I suggest reading it because it actually won me my first book award. And if you're not familiar with steampunk, the book is a little steampunkish. Steampunk is Victorian era with some mechanical body parts. So think like futuristic weapons and gadgets and gears. And if that still doesn't really make sense, go out there and Google steampunk. You'll see some images and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So that was the first. I love steampunk. So that was the first book, is Deadly Alchemy. And Fatal Alchemy picks up where Deadly Alchemy leaves off. And Fatal Alchemy, you get to meet new people. And you get to meet Marcus, who is rising in the ranks after Michelle. And he's, you know, trying to be head honcho vampire. You know, he's like, I'm going to take them down. I want to get this cure, and I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. And then at the end of Deadly Alchemy, you meet Sarah, who is another alchemist there to help Amelia. And so this story is Marcus and Sarah's story. And he's out to get her. She's out to get him. They're going to get each other. And in the process, oh, my God, they fall in love.
Go figure.
Yeah, go figure. So, but there's new monsters. There's new enemies. I brought in necromancers. If you're not quite sure what a necromancer is, it's basically, for lack of better terms, a witch who can control the dead. So imagine trying to raise somebody from the dead. That's kind of gross, like zombie, ew, but in this case, the dead would be the vampires. So, I mean, imagine basically having a puppet master is what these women are. And the third book, and the second book, there's a lot of, you know, again, back and forth on the story. And it doesn't leave really on a cliffhanger. I mean, the story ends, but there's two characters that you're like, oh, my God, what happens to them? It's Adam and Sophie, and they get their story told in Wicked Alchemy, which is coming soon. I've got it in edits right now. And with Wicked Alchemy, again, you get to meet new characters, new stories. You know, there's not necessarily a cure this time. That's the focus of the story. It's something else, and somebody's killing the werewolves and turning them against each other. They're trying to figure out who, where, why, how, and it's there's a lot of deceit happening in the story, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty action-packed, so I'm excited about it, about getting it out there in the wild, and it's going to be the last story in this series to wrap it up.
And then where are you going from there?
Oh, gosh. I'm writing a book right now, and I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with Kat Johnson. I met her a couple of years ago at an event and just completely fell in love with her. She has a Kindle world out there called Hot Seals, like Navy SEALs. And she knew that I wrote my Special Ops series with Delta Force and Sniper and offered me an opportunity to write in her world, I think maybe 2 years ago. And I haven't had a moment to really sit down and think of what I could do until a month ago. I had a dream about a story, and a lot of times it's where my stories come from, is from dreams. And I had a dream about this particular story, and I woke up and quickly jotted it down so I wouldn't forget. And I contacted her, and I was like, I got a story. Oh, my God, do I have a story? She's like, write it. So I'm in the process of closing in on the end of it. The title is called Guarded by a Seal, and it's what I'm working on right now. It's real people. It's not paranormal. And it's a woman who's escaping, who has escaped an abusive ex. He almost killed her. He killed her father and almost killed her. And he's been put in prison, and she moved across the states to Virginia Beach, where GAPS is located, which is in Cat's World. It's the Guardian Angel Protection Services. And she, moves over to Virginia Beach, and the day of her father's anniversary of his death, she gets a letter in the mail that her ex has escaped prison. So that's really where the story kicks in, is in the first chapter when all of this is happening. And she meets Jax, who is a former Navy SEAL that now works for GAPS, and he's been hired to be her bodyguard. And does he guard her body? Woo, it's hot.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, she does that. She writes that kind of world.
Oh, it's fun, and I'm setting it up to have another book or two in this world with different characters. So it'll be fun to see where it goes. And I'm looking to publish it in December, so look for that. It's Guarded by a Seal. And other than that, I've got Wicked Alchemy coming. I'm plotting out 2 new series. I think it's 2 others, 2 paranormal series. One of them is about a woman who is a vampire hunter, not like Buffy. It's nothing like that at all. It's completely different. And the other one, a little taboo, but it's a paranormal story about a priest. And somebody asked me if there's going to be some smut in it. I'm like, are you kidding me? Of course. So, so that'll be coming. I'm hoping in 2018 I'll get those started. And I'm working with 2 different developmental editors on those to get the plots, built out before I start writing. And the one with the female vampire hunter, oh my God, I cannot wait to write this. Just where the idea that I brought to the table to where it is now, oh my God, I can't wait to write it. And it's exciting. And it's
is she
women in
screaming
power.
In your head to put it on paper?
Oh God, it's hard. I just kind of went like brain dump. But this is like a rural women of power story. And she's going to go through hell to get there. And she has to go through hell to get there. The girl is just, women should not have this power that she's been given.
Mm.
It's theoretically, in her world, in the world I'm creating here, women should not have the power of being a hunter, should not have that ability. Well, she has it because she had a twin who unfortunately died. And they shared blood, because they were in the womb together. They shared the same blood.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, she's got the ability in her. And having to carry around her brother's death and having a father constantly tell you that it should have been you and not him that died, that he should have been the hunter. And, not to say that she doesn't, speak to things that aren't there. She thinks that she might be schizophrenic. Well, she's not. She's actually seeing things that are there because she's a hunter that humans cannot see. So, there's this whole world I'm building around her. And it's going to take place in Las Vegas because, come on, vampires and demons. Where are they going to go? Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, of course.
Of course.
What goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Oh, God. And it just, oh, man, there's this story. I am so excited to dive into it. I just have to continue to get it plotted out, and it kind of got put on hold. And a lot of my stories got put on hold because I got hit with a serious writer's block recently. And as y'all know, Yvonne knows, we live in Florida. We recently went through a hell of a hurricane. And, I live in Polk County, and we weren't expected to get hit. That hurricane decided, I'm just going to take a turn right over your damn house. And she did, right over our house. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, John, she's turning. Oh, my gosh, she's turning. And he looks at the TV, he goes, they don't know where the hell she's going to go.
And they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Every
Nobody
time
had any idea.
No, every time we listened to the news, it was, well, if it does this 30 degrees west or 60 degrees east, or if it wobbles one way or the other. And I'm sitting here watching it, and I finally said on Monday, we're leaving on Wednesday. We're going to Atlanta. And the damn thing followed us right up through the middle of the state.
In some instances like this, you have to laugh.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I do. So I found a meme that was of a hurricane coming to Florida right over Disney. And it said, Hurricane Irma, you've just been categorized as the biggest hurricane ever in existence. What are you going to do now? And it says, I'm going to Disney.
Take a trip to Disney.
I'm going to go to Disney. And she did. Went right over Florida. But,
and I wonder how many books are going to come out with that hurricane in it now.
I know you've interviewed Robbie Cox before. He actually asked that question not too long ago on Facebook. Wonder how many people are now going to try to write a book with hurricane in it. I saw him post that on Facebook. But when I got hit with a writer's block, it was during the process of buying a house, selling my house, breast exams, breast surgery, hurricane, all at the same time. It all happened at the same time, and something had to give. And my brain went, okay, we're done for now. We're closing shop. You got to do something else, because I came close to having a freaking anxiety attack. And I'm just like, something's got to give here. Something's got to give, and I don't want it to be fixed. And oh my God, it's going to be fixed. And
and I understand that, because we went to have Jack's colonoscopy on a Tuesday, and Tuesday evening he was admitted to the hospital, and on Friday he had colon cancer surgery, and I'm going, oh. And it was not time to process all this shit, because I was too busy training doctors and nurses on what they could and could not do to him.
Yes.
And
so
then the
I
hurricane
watched
hits.
a lot of TV.
Yeah. Then the hurricane hits, and then we have to flee to Georgia. So I understand. And now, like you, I've got a book that is supposed to be one of 3, and it's sitting there, and I've got 12 chapters done, and the 13th chapter is going, would you please do something? You got these people hanging in limbo.
You know, people, unless you've, it's really hard to say, unless you've actually written anything, and I don't necessarily mean a book. Even as a software engineer, that's what I do by trade. Even as a software engineer, if you get hit with any kind of block, you look at a blank piece of paper and it scares the death out of you.
Yep.
And that's exactly how I felt. I looked at my computer screen, nope, and I closed it. You know, I'd bring up my Kindle, nope, and I'd close it. You know, and what got me through it was binge watching Netflix, of all things. And I pulled up different series that I hadn't watched yet, you know, and just different things. And it wasn't something that necessarily got me over the writer's block. It wasn't that. It was just giving my mind something new.
And
you
didn't have to think about what you were watching. It was, I call it, when I watch the Hallmark channels, I tell Jack, I said, I'm watching mindless TV, so I don't have to think about it.
Exactly. That's exactly it. That is exactly it.
You know the outcome. Yeah, you know the outcome. You know, boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy finds girl, girl loses boy. Third party hops in. And you know where it's going to end up, and you don't have to think about it. You can just sit there and look at it and go through the motions.
You know, I binge-watched Haven. It's a sci-fi show, and there's a lot of paranormal stuff that happens in it, but it's like a science fiction paranormal. It's not like vampires and werewolves and stuff like that. It's more like magic, I guess, and magical elements. And I binge-watched 5 seasons of that, and it took me probably 3 weeks to get through all of that. And when I got done, I was like, that's actually pretty good, you know, and I told my husband about it. Now he's watching it. And then I watched Mindhunter. If you've not watched that, Yvonne, you need to watch Mindhunter. Oh, my God. That was amazing.
I'll have to watch Mindhunter, because the book I'm working on involves witches and werewolves, direwolves, shapeshifters, fairies, and ghosts in 1888 in Scotland.
Oh, my God. I can't wait to read that. So Mindhunter takes place in 1975, I think, and it's the FBI taking the first steps in categorizing what we now know as a serial killer, and talking, see, it's right up your alley, and talking to these men in prison about what they've done, and it is gruesome. Just the detailed accounts of what they talked about. And one of the agents just lets it roll right off his back like it's no big deal. You know, he's like, yeah, okay, let's talk about it, you know, and acts like he's their friend in order to get them to talk. And the other one's like, the hell is going on here, you know? And he's trying to go right along with it. And they're starting to pick up tell signs that every one of these guys have in common. And it's fascinating to watch this and to see it unfold, and how they ask their questions and how they tag team and get the person to really speak out. And of course, the first person I thought it was you. I'm like, oh, Yvonne's going to watch this.
Absolutely. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I write about that. That's my forte.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Where the witches and direwolves and vampires and whatever else I've got going on in this book came, I have no idea. But it won't shut up. I can't do anything but it, but now I've got a block. And speaking of blocks, would you believe that our hour is almost up? Again.
Oh, God, we need like 2 hours.
I know.
And then 2 hours, like, we need 3 hours.
I know.
But I think if you watch Mindhunter, it will get you away from what you're trying to do and open you back up. I mean, that's what it did for me. And
is it on Netflix or is it on?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's on Netflix. And I went to Indie Book Fest back in September, and it was a lot of fun. Had a great time. You know, I unfortunately didn't have any new books because I've been moving in with the writer's block and everything else happening. I'm like, hey, y'all don't know me, do you? Come and check out everything I got over here. You know, and I was talking to my PA, Heather. I was talking to her, and I said, I had a dream about this book, you know, and the one that I'm writing right now. I had a dream about it. And I really feel like I need to write this. And I think I want to put it in a Kindle world, but I'm not really sure. And I talked about doing it for one world in particular, but the more I thought on it, I was like, this isn't going to be paranormal. This is going to be real people. This is going to be military. I need to go this route. This is where it's going to be. And as soon as I started, I mean, it just went. And within 2 weeks, maybe less than that, I'm over 28,000 words. And
wow.
I haven't written that much in a long time. And one of the lines that I wrote in my story that when I did it, I was just like, oh, my God, I wrote that, you know.
That good.
You know, when I did it, and I was so excited. And the line is, a man's home may be his castle, but just as the walls of Jericho came tumbling down, so too will the heaviest of fortresses. And when I wrote that, I was like, damn, that's good.
That is good. And speaking of good, before we run out of time, my darling, I know we need 2 hours. Tell the folks where you can be found and where your books are. Yes, I am all over the place. So you can find me on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, Kobo, whoever you read on, and I also have paperback. If you go to juliemorganbooks.com, that's my webpage that will get you all the information you need. You can also join my newsletter, and by doing so, you will receive a free book. It's Symphony of Night. It's the first book in a spinoff of Chronicles of the Fallen. So it's if you're into paranormal romance with a menage twist, that will be right up your alley. You will receive that for free. And if you go to Amazon, just look me up, Julie Morgan. You'll see everything that I've got published there as well. And you can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm all over the place. Don't be shy. I don't bite. I talk a lot. Oh, she just nibbles a little bit. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, no, y'all can't go now because, first of all, I have to thank my beautiful friend for spending an hour with me that just absolutely flew by. And, don't hang up after the show goes off the air because I have to tell you all the good stuff. And starting Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, we start out a whole new week. It's the last week of the month. So you want to join us on Wednesday night because that whole week's going to be exciting. And the difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to leave you with that one tonight because if you want to be something great, you stop asking permission and you just do it.
Yes, agreed.
And so join us next Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time when we start out with a whole new line of guests. It's going to be a marvelous, marvelous week. In fact, we might even talk Julie into one night co-hosting if she's not otherwise engaged and wants to help out. I love it when my guests come and co-host. It's so much fun.
Oh, I'll be happy to do whatever you need me to do. Just let me know.
Okay, well, you just pick the night, go and look at next week's show, and you just tell me where you want to come and co-host, and we'll have fun with
sure.
our guests. Okay. So see how easy that was, ladies and gentlemen. So remember this. The difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do. And if you want to reach for the stars and grab the moon, then that's what you have to do. So until next Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, when we start another week, this is your host, Yvonne Mason, on Off the Chain with my beautiful friend and fellow author, Julie Morgan, and we both are saying good evening. Julie, real quick words, 10 seconds.
Yvonne, you're amazing.
I wasn't expecting that. we close up.
Celebrate with me tomorrow. It's my birthday. I'll be 43 years young.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. And hopefully maybe next time we talk I can get my daughter on the phone again.
Oh, absolutely. I meant to ask if you wanted to put her on tonight, and I just blew away. Now, you know that we're dark now. We've gone off the air, but everything's going up in archives we're talking about. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to drop this down into the archives, and then I'm going to post it on the page and tag you in it, and you're going to take it and you're going to run with it like you stole it. And then tomorrow it's going up on Mixcloud, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Podcast.com, and Podcast Guard, and I'll tag you in those links too. You know we're heard in over 70 countries now.
Oh, my God, that's amazing.
Places
that's
like
amazing.
The EU, Egypt, Japan, Russia.
Oh, my God.
South Africa.
I remember you told me Congo. I was like, what?
Yep, the Congo, Ethiopia, China, in the parts they let them, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England, Germany, Italy, all over the world. And it's because of all the podcasts and iTunes, FM.com, and TuneIn Radio and YouTube.
Wow.
So y'all are getting heard in places you might not otherwise be heard.
That's amazing.
When you start
Hi,
getting,
everybody.
when you start getting royalties from places like Japan, you can go, yeah, we're heard over there.
I'll have to come back to you. Yes, I had.
Absolutely. So I'm going to hang up now, my beautiful friend, so you can go and play with the baby and give her a kiss for me and tell her that someone she's never met is madly in love with her.
I will.
And pick a night. Saturday night I've got a guest host, but Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday I don't. And, of course, this is the week before Halloween, so it should be a scary good time.
Oh, she's going to be a police officer, and she asked my husband and I to be doctors. So that's what we're dressing up. I'm going to be the word doctor. He's the money doctor. She's a police officer.
That's going to be so much fun. That is going to be so much fun. Well, I am going to leave you now, my dear, and thank you again for and you are coming back. You know this is not the last time, right?
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
You have to come back because you will have more funny stories to tell.
I always do.
And you are going to the thing in Cocoa, right?
Oh, of course. I'll be there again. Yeah, absolutely.
Lord willing and the creeks don't rise, I'll be there. I just got to send in my money.
Exactly.
Made my hotel reservation. I just got to send in the money now. So I will get this up, and I will send you some dates and see if they work for you, and then you tell me if you want to come play Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday and co-host.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, darling, I love you.
Love you too, sweetie.
Talk to you later.
Give that husband a big hug for me, okay?
I will as soon as I get off from here.
All right, dear.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.